That was just about as wild of a series split as you're gonna see, with the Giants and D-backs going back to back, toe to toe, punch for punch. A 17-1 loss, a couple of really nice wins, and then a loss in the finale that could have given the Giants 3 out of 4, but no. So, big series upcoming against the Mets. Giants made a trade. Lots to talk about. Next.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. My name is Ben Kaspick, and on this show, we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that's data-driven and rational, but also simple, passionate, and accessible to all. I'm a former contributor for the baseball statistics and analysis websites Beyond the Box Score and Rotographs. I have been podcasting about the Giants since 2015. I've been hosting this show for over 5 years, and I'm a lifelong Giants fan. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. So check us out there if you have not already. If you're watching this live, you're on YouTube, so you have checked us out there. Please hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you're following the show. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. From brakes to exhaust kits and beyond, eBay Motors has over 122 million parts to keep your ride or die alive. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to bring home that big win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers. And coming up on today's show, yeah, we're going to be breaking down this wild, wacky 4-game series in which, I was out of town and I missed a game, like for the first time in forever. And the game I missed, Giants lost 17-1. And so the lesson, Ben doesn't get to miss the games, although I'm glad I did. But besides that, it was a good series, for the Giants, I guess. A 4-game split, like the takeaway for me is like, eventually, sooner or later, if you're the Giants, you've got to start winning series, especially at home. And they did just win a series in Miami coming into this series, but it's hard to win 3 out of 4. And so I did say, and the D-backs are a good team, and they went to the World Series last year. But the Mets have been playing well outside of yesterday when they lost 10-0 to the Dodgers. But for me, a 4-game series is different than a 3-game series, and it's just tough to win 3 out of 4 against a team. What's frustrating is that they had a chance in the finale, and they even went ahead late, and then they gave it right back with Eric Miller, who had been so good and such a nice kind of story out of the bullpen, kind of coughing up some runs. The umpire did the Giants no favors with a foul tip call on what should have been a strikeout. Look, pretty much everybody except the home plate umpire thought that he swung and missed and did not foul tip that ball, but it was ruled a foul tip. It gave the hitter new life. Then he ended up getting a hit and blah, blah, blah. The rest is history. The Giants lost the game. They were already losing at that point, but it was only by 1 run, I think. And then it became a 3-run deficit. So anyway, it was just, the first game of the series was phenomenal for the Giants. 5-0 win. Logan Webb was outstanding. I've got some stats to pull up from that first game with Webb on the mound. This is courtesy of, I actually didn't cite, it's like MLB stats or something. I forget the source that put this out, but it's legit. And it said since 1990, there have been 9,760 instances in both the regular season and postseason of an MLB starter allowing hits to the first 2 batters he faced in a game. Okay. So almost 10,000 times have hitters got hits on the first first 2 hitters of the game against a pitcher. Only 3 times in history has that pitcher then gone on to throw 7+ shutout innings with only those 2 hits allowed. Roy Halladay in 2012, the late, great Roy Halladay, Shohei Ohtani in 2022, and then Logan Webb on Thursday night. He allowed 2 hits to the first 2 hitters he faced, and then no more hits, and he pitched I don't have it pulled up actually, but at least 7 innings, obviously. So 3 times in the history of the game. That's crazy. And then according, not according to, but Alex Pavlovich pointed out that Logan Webb's last 3 starts have each been 7 innings, 2 runs, 7 innings, 1 run, and 7 innings, no runs. So there you go. He did pitch exactly 7 innings. So Logan Webb getting back on track was big. And then you go out and lose 17-1 in the Blake Snell start. I did not see that game. I was going to watch it and then accidentally saw the score, and I was like, no, I'm sorry. I'm not watching. I'm not rewatching a 17-1 loss. Like, so whatever happened in that game, I mean, I don't know. It just they gave up 17 runs and they scored 1 and lost. But then the next day, this was what I like to see. This team has shown a resilience that I like, because the next day they came back and played a really clean game and won 7-3. And then in the finale, I thought they played pretty well as well. It was just kind of, kind of a cursed game in a way. Like, just some things just didn't go their way. The ball didn't bounce their way. And so all in all, it ends up being a series split. But when you have these 3-game series, you've got 2 more coming up at home. You've got the Mets, good team. They've been playing well. They started out like 0-5, and now they've got a good record, and then a day off, and then the Pirates come into town. So, you've got to win series. Like, to have a good season, it's just kind of like win series. And 4-game series, I kind of write those off and say split or win. But when you have a 3-game series and you're at home, you got to win most of those. And so far, we haven't seen them do that at home consistently. They did win against the Padres at home 2 out of 3, but then they lost 2 out of 3 to the Nationals at home. And then you split with the D-backs. So this is, I just want to see them go out there and not lose 2 out of 3 to the Mets. You're the home team. You're a playoff contender just like they are, and you got to go out there and prove it. So anyway, that's just kind of my thoughts on this series. And the Giants also made a trade, by the way, which is a big deal. And Alex Cobb had a setback, so there's a lot more to get into. And I do want to preview the Mets coming into town and kind of what those pitching matchups look like. And so we're going to get into the Mitch White acquisition. Mitch White, formerly pretty good with the Dodgers, but struggled with the Blue Jays. And he is expected to join the active roster and be in that bullpen mix today. And so we'll get into that in just a minute. And before we do, today's episode is brought to you in part by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, which I literally have bought myself from eBay Motors, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts to choose from for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber, you are not burning cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. And today's episode is also brought to you in part by Monopoly Go. I've been told I'm a competitive person. I don't need to be told that, to be honest with you. I know it myself. Okay, well, yeah, I have a competitive side. We all do. And my competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you've heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. The best part is messing with my friends, 100%. I can charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like in classic Monopoly. But now I can also heist their vaults of riches for myself. And the leaderboards show me who the biggest Monopoly tycoon is, and it better be me or else I'm not going to be happy about it. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with friends and people around the world in timed tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Monopoly Go. Download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. All right, as promised, we're going to get into the fact that the Giants made a trade acquiring a pitcher, which is super interesting, and the fact that that pitcher is going to be joining the active roster, according to Alex Pavlovich. And so, as far as I've seen as of this recording, we don't yet have a corresponding move, so we'll speculate there a little bit. And then I also just want to check in, like after this wild series, on some of the numbers for the Giants as a team. Early in the season, we continue to every game get further and further away from it being, quote, early, but it still is early. But things obviously stabilizing a little bit. Jung-Hoo Lee is, he hit a home run, big home run in the nice win in the third game of the series. So I just want to check in on all that as well and get you ready, like talk about the pitching matchups with this series against the Mets and just how they're playing and what's going on with the Mets, because they started off so badly and now they've actually been better. And then they lose 10-0 yesterday. So yeah, thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Everydayers, tomorrow, of course, we're breaking down Giants versus Mets. And a reminder that you can catch every pitch of the Giants' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just search the word Giants. Also a reminder that we do, Eric Engel is doing Giants postcasts, which you can find live right after every game on the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel. So not this YouTube channel, it's a different one where he also does postcasts for, in season for Warriors and 49ers. I think those are the two. I actually don't know about the other teams, but that is available to you. And it's just in addition to the show that we also do every day. That's less about the games specifically and more about the big picture. That's what we do. So anyway, just wanted to make you aware of that again. Also, are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Do you have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. No screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So, Mitch White, the Giants traded for this guy. He is just 29 years old. He has no minor league options, and so he was DFA'd by the Blue Jays, and the Giants jumped the waiver wire and traded for him. So that's interesting. That's always interesting. He has really struggled since joining the Blue Jays, but when he was a Dodger, he was quite good for the most part. Just like overall. So for the Dodgers, he, in 105 2/3 innings, in 38 appearances, 14 of which were starts, he had a 3.58 ERA, a 3.87 fielding independent pitching, and a 22% strikeout rate. But he really struggled in Toronto. Like, those numbers have been nothing close. After he was traded mid-season in 2022, he put up a 7.74 ERA, albeit with much better peripheral numbers. Like, the fielding independent pitching was 3.76. Again, the ERA 7.74. But then in just 12 2/3 we're talking small samples here. 12 2/3 innings in 2023, he struggled, and then 10 innings in 2024, he struggled. And so it's kind of been a small sample after that 2022 season, in which he put together a total of 99 innings in 2022, but then only 22 2/3 innings since. So I don't actually know why, if he was just injured or if he was optioned. He spent most of last year in AAA is what it appears to be. And so anyway, the Giants traded for him. Obviously, they have a history with getting the most out of pitchers sometimes. And if we're talking the back end of the bullpen, I'm not entirely sure who would be who Mitch White will be replacing. I have not seen, but there's a tweet from Alex Pavlovich who says Mitch White will likely be here and part of the bullpen group tomorrow. And he said that yesterday at 11 in the morning. And then they put Alex Cobb on the 60-day IL. to open up a 40-man spot for Mitch White, and that Bob Melvin said it's realistic that Cobb will be ready when eligible to come back on May 27th. So over a month. So Cobb has had some setbacks, but still, if he's realistically back in about a month, then that's great. But I'm like refreshing the timeline, trying to see if there's any update on Mitch White, but I have not seen it. And so I'm just going to have to speculate here as to who I think he will replace in the bullpen, because we already had a move, right? We had Kaiwei Tang optioned over the weekend, and Sean Hjelle activated off the injured list and put onto the active roster. And so I would guess it's either Sean Hjelle or Nick Avila. Nick Avila didn't have the greatest of outings yesterday, but he was kind of the victim of that foul tip call by the umpire. And also there was an error by Tyler Fitzgerald yesterday on a throw from Matt Chapman that should have been caught at second base. So I don't know. Sean Hjelle pitched 2 innings of scoreless baseball yesterday, and Nick Avila has only pitched 7 2/3 innings. So I don't know. I don't know what the corresponding move would be. So we'll just have to wait and see. There's really not, I guess Landon Roop is another option, although he's at time. I mean, he's been a pretty, yeah, it could be Landon Roop, it could be Sean Hjelle, or it could be Nick Avila. I'm like for sure one of those three if Mitch White is in fact activated. And I actually don't know. I'm assuming right now they have 13 position players and 13 pitchers. Let's see, 9. Yeah, that's what they're rolling with. And so I would imagine it's a pitcher for pitcher swap there. They're not going to add a 14th pitcher and go with 12 position players. I don't see that happening. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see who it is. But we know it's not going to be Keaton Winn because he's starting today's game. So anyway, I would say from this series, the continuing theme was that the Giants have just given up too many runs this year. Their ERA as a team is 4.88, and that ranks literally 26th. 26th. So when you're 26th in ERA, you're going to have a hard time like winning a lot of games. And their record is like respectable given that they are 26th in team ERA. Their record is 10-13. So it's not like the world has fallen off. The Astros 7-16, White Sox 3-18. I don't know. Obviously 10-13 is not what you want, but they were close to making it 11-12 with one more win in the series. I mean, obviously they weren't winning the 17-1 game, but yesterday was a winnable game and it could have been 11-12, but they're just simply allowing too many runs. And so I expect that to get better because their pitching staff looks pretty good on paper, especially the starting pitching. So that's just been the issue kind of for the most part. And if you look at the position player group, they've been about league average offensively, but because of defense and base running, they actually rank in the top half of the league at number 13 in Fangraphs wins above replacement with 3.4 as a team. So the position players have been like fine, and the pitching, it obviously depends on which pitcher you're looking at. That's the thing. Like if I click on the team itself, we've got, Logan Webb has been fantastic, and all of a sudden has a 2.93 ERA. Jordan Hicks, even with a kind of rough start yesterday with command issues, 1.61 ERA. Keaton Winn is your 5th starter with a 4.09. Kyle Harrison with a 5. That's not great, but the peripherals are better. Blake Snell got to get back on track. ERA is 11.5. But he's Blake Snell, right? He's not going to be 11.5 all season. So we'll continue to dive into the numbers behind what's going on with the Giants here early in the season, and also just preview the Mets. I want to talk about the pitching matchups because I think those are really relevant, because I think the Giants are good enough to be able to, for me to look at a pitcher and say, this is a guy they should be able to get to, and that they might actually be able to do so. So we will get more into that, and then also how the Giants pitchers line up in just a minute. And before we do, Today's episode is brought to you in part by our oh-so-good friends over at FanDuel. It's playoff time in the NBA and NHL. Sorry, Warriors fans. Baseball's in full swing. Woohoo. And FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets, guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. That's one of my favorite things about the app is the simplicity and just how smooth and seamless it is. But also, hey, 150 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's probably actually my favorite thing. So I'm going to check out the odds for tonight. Let's see where are the Giants. They are once again favorites at home here at minus 118 on the money line, minus 1.5 with the run spread at odds of plus 168. The over-under set at 8.5. So anyway, go to fanduel.com/lockedon. That's fanduel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, here we go. We're going to get into the kind of more stats. I just love the stats. You know me. Look at some individual hitters. I want to talk about Jung-Hoo Lee, who's kind of come into his own and just continues to impress me. And also the preview of the series against the Mets. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Everydayers tomorrow, we'll be breaking it down. It's Keaton Winn versus Jose Quintana, former Giant for a brief moment, and then, ended up kind of having a second wind and like having some better results after he left the Giants. But he is 35 years old, but we'll look at the numbers there with Quintana, and he's a lefty, so we'll discuss what that means. So also, just a reminder, you can catch every pitch of the Giants' hometown broadcast with Sirius XM on the SXM app. Just search the word Giants. And also a reminder that after every game, including tonight, if you want to get in and jump in on the conversation, check out the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel. Check it out right now. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you get it right when Eric Engel goes live, and you can join the conversation, be in the chat, all that. It's just a new thing we're offering here to our Locked On Giants listeners in addition to this daily podcast. So just continuing to look, like, kind of analyze, this is how I like watch baseball in addition to, of course, watching the games, is looking at the numbers, right? And position players have been up and down, but like I haven't even mentioned Patrick Bailey, which is a big omission, right? He had a huge game on his bobblehead day, hit a monster home run, splash hit, didn't actually hit the water, but it definitely counts because it landed in a kayak. What was he, 5 for 5? At least 4 for 4. And if Patrick Bailey can hit, in addition, like, by the way, I was getting a lot of questions early about his defense and concerns and all that. He's back, right? He's throwing people out. He's just, and the framing, he's not the best ball blocker, but we've discussed over and over how framing is the most important thing that catchers do. Blocking is kind of the least important in terms of it translating to runs, and throwing is maybe kind of in the middle, although framing is just by far the most important. But if he can also hit, then the Giants really have something special. He would be a star, a legit star, if he could really hit. We know that. We've seen Buster. I'm not comparing him to Buster. I refuse to do that still. But he's been hot. I mean, he's hitting 321, 387 on base, 528 slugging. How about Nick Ahmed? Second on the team in Fangraphs wins above replacement, thanks to just really good defense. The arm is not the best, but otherwise, he's been exceptional defensively, and he's hit a little bit. I mean, the batting average is 284, which is way above league average. On base is 324. Some unsustainability there, perhaps, but he's hitting ninth. It's like, okay, it's a bonus if he hits at all. Wade has been good, really good. Matt Chapman been kind of mediocre up and down with the bat, but the defense is just really, really stabilizing and good. Jung-Hoo Lee has become above average offensively finally. He was hitting into some bad luck, but that's kind of evened out a little bit. Hit a big home run, and I'm just every day I watch him, I'm more impressed with his defense and speed as well. And his arm is just kind of an underrated aspect of his game too. Jorge Soler, pinch hit, big spot, bases loaded, 2 outs. Could have totally changed the game and grounded out. Kind of up and down for him. He just hasn't gotten on like fire, which I think eventually he could and can just start hitting home runs in bunches. Hasn't happened yet. So Michael Conforto's cooled off. There's that. And then you look at guys like Yastrzemski. I mean, he finally had an extra base hit. First one, he should have had an extra base hit in one of the games, but he rolled his ankle, like getting out of the batter's box, and so he couldn't get to second base. But then he hit a homer in the next game. I actually called it. I have witnesses. I called that he was going to hit a homer there. I said it was going to go in the water, but it didn't. It went into the arcade, so my bad. And then, yeah, Flores hasn't really gotten it going. Neither has Slater, and Tom Murphy, when he starts, he hasn't gotten it going yet either. But so overall, like, it's a mixed bag, but mostly solid, fine. You can't be having an ERA close to 5, especially when you play at Oracle Park half the time. So just got to prevent runs better, and it's not been a defense problem. It's just been a pitching problem. But their personnel is better than that, so I'm not really worried. They just need to, get on a little roll, and I think that they will. So, previewing the series against the Mets, Jose Quintana, left-handed pitcher. I'm looking at the numbers right now, and and then it disappeared. Jose Quintana has an ERA that's going to impress you, but the expected numbers are going to alarm you if you're a Mets fan. 3.05 ERA, expected ERA of 6.50, fielding independent pitching of 4.51. So he has maybe pitched into some good luck and is due for a little bit of regression coming into this outing today. And then when we fast forward, and Keaton Winn on the mound for the Giants, he's pitched better, in my opinion, than the 4.09 ERA, and that's even like roughly average. So after that, you go right back to Webb. That's the thing. This rotation is kind of relentless. And then imagine once Alex Cobb and Robbie Ray are back against Luis Severino, who impressively to me, 2.14 ERA. I watched his first outing of the year, and it wasn't very good. So he must have really turned it on after that first outing of the year, or maybe it was fine. I just wasn't super impressed. 2.14 ERA, but peripherals are more like mid threes. So, not as good as the 2.14 ERA, but still nice season so far. Are the Giants going to face Sean Manaea in the third game? Let's see. Yes, they are. Sean Manaea against Blake Snell. That is a very interesting third game matchup. So that's 2 lefties and 1 righty. I like the Giants' bats against left-handed pitching, right? You've got Matt Chapman and Jorge Soler in there, and Tyro Estrada, and then Austin Slater. Like, at some point, he's going to get it going, and historically it's just crushed left-handed pitching. Wilmer Flores gets to play, and maybe he can get hot there. And so, yeah, I kind of like their lineup. I think their lineup is solid against both lefties and righties, but that's previewing the series. You got Keaton Winn, Webb, and Snell. Like, it's a series you should be able to win. I'm not predicting it. It's not easy to beat a major league team 2 out of 3 times, but you are the home team and you are a playoff contender, and the Mets are the road team. They're a playoff contender, but this is just the kind of thing, if you want to be a serious team, this is the kind of series you got to go out there and take. And so that's what the Giants will be looking to do as they take on the Mets starting tonight. And it's always good to win the first game of a 3-game series if you're trying to win series. And so that first game, just get to Quintana. That's my thing. I like that Bob Melvin is not like giving up on Austin Slater. Slater's hitting the ball hard. I feel like Quintana is just a good matchup for Slater. So maybe Slater goes off tonight. Maybe I'm calling that. And Chapman and Soler, like I said, these Flores, these righty bats are dangerous. And the floodgates opened a little bit with the home run ball for the Giants, who didn't hit a single home run in their first homestand of the year. But then they hit several in this series against Arizona. So there you have it. Mets are playing well. I'll just quickly give you their record if I can find it. Their record is 12-9. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're 6-3 on the road. So they started out 0-5, if I remember correctly. So they're 12-4 since then, unless I'm misremembering that it was 0-5, but it was something like that. So they're playing well, but they just lost 10-0 yesterday to the Dodgers. But we'll see. I'm very interested to see. It's like a nice little test for them here, playing this team that's playing well, but I feel like you match up with toe to toe. It's a team. It'll be a good battle. So anyway, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Every dayers tomorrow we'll be breaking it down. Jose Quintana, Keaton win. Can the Giants offense get to the lefty? That's kind of my question. And can Keaton win, keep it going, and just kind of pitch well enough to keep the Giants in ball games, which he's done pretty much all year. So once again, my name is Ben Kaspick. Check me out on Twitter or X at Ben Kaspick, Kaspick. If you like this show, please consider rating it or leaving a review. It helps me out so much. So thank you in advance, and thank you to everyone who's done so already. I can't wait to be with you again tomorrow. Thanks again for listening. You are now Locked On Giants.